Welcome in to the DNVR Fantasy Podcast. Right as the music comes on in the bar, that's
Perfect
how
timing.
lit today's show is going to be.
Sure is.
Producer guy being upgraded from behind the desk to in front of the screen.
Mama, I made it.
Truly. And you are not our only breakout star today.
Yeah.
We have a Motown hero, but let's not get into it
Motown
too
hero,
soon.
come on.
Yeah.
That's right.
Wow, dude, talk about burying the lead 6 feet under.
That's right.
My God, I'm personally hurt.
Yeah, we shouldn't bury the lead 6 feet under. This is our Tuesday show. You guys showed up with a bunch of questions, which we love. So we got to get to those. We've got a ton to recap. Got some waiver stuff to get into, some bets to settle, so on and so forth. But we are also presented by DraftKings Sportsbook, the number one sportsbook in America.
Number one, baby.
This is where we're going to get this out the way nice and quick.
Oh, God.
With
Really
the
just going to rush through it like this?
We're just going to go through the Broncos game because two unsung heroes, Brandon McManus and this Broncos defense, probably won some
McManus
games
is
this
very
week.
properly sung. I don't know.
5% of the leagues owned.
Really?
That's right, son.
I guess it's just around here.
Do
maybe.
you own him in any leagues?
No, because he's already taken.
Exactly.
No, but the problem is I play with so many Broncos fans. He's like the first kicker off the board all the time.
I'm in a league with Broncos fans. Got him easy breezy.
Really?
Wow.
Oh, that's
Disrespecting. People
clever girl.
disrespecting. 2 notes from the Broncos game aside from the unsung heroes. 1, Tim Patrick's Drew Lock's favorite target and probably has to be owned in leagues right now. Do that against Stephon Gilmore and show that kind of confidence with your new quarterback. I'm paying attention, especially with Sutton out the rest of the year. That's the guy he replaces. Hamler or Fant coming back isn't going to impact that too much. We didn't make a big deal of his last week. I think now it's time to pay attention.
Back-to-back 100-yard games.
Yeah.
It's definitely that time. And I like what you said about him being Courtland Sutton's replacement because that was where Drew Lock was looking last year. He wanted to get the ball to Courtland Sutton. He wants to go downfield. Tim Patrick's that guy right now. And I'm not sure if he's worthy of a start, but you probably should pick him up. Here's my question, though. It's Lamar Jackson's bye week. I put in a claim for Drew Lock.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a terrible idea, or can I say that maybe I can get away with it because
I'm not excited about it.
I'm just really excited about Drew.
I mean,
and he made a lot of good throws. And I know that it's probably a bad decision, but how bad of a decision is it?
It's going to be a shootout against Kansas City.
What?
But,
It's a snow game.
well, that's what I was going to say. Is it's going to be in the snow, and if you watch the game last year where they played in the snow,
This is
they
a terrible
really
decision.
I
they
know.
knew exactly how to game plan for Drew Lock.
This is
So
a terrible
I'm not
decision.
excited about it. Yeah.
I'm 0-5 in that league.
Is
No,
Tannehill
am I 0-6 now?
available in this league?
What? He shouldn't be. Shouldn't it be?
No,
available in any league?
People are still sleeping on Tannehill. Patrick's the big takeaway from the Broncos.
Sure.
To me, the Patriots, there's both not too much to read in this, and also, look, there's no running back or wide receiver, certainly no tight end that you're excited to start on this team. My greater takeaway, though, from the Patriots is the Seahawks game was an aberration. That's the worst secondary in the NFL. This is a run-first team. You're only going to get so much out of Cam Newton.
I think so. I for now. I know, and there's all this stuff about them not having practice this week, and I think we're all kind of bought in on the Broncos defense at this point. But for now, I am taking a step off of the Cam train, at least until he does it again.
He was a top 10 fantasy quarterback, so he still had some value. But I just think we need to isolate that Seahawks 370 passing yard game and just understand this is a run-first offense. They don't have a big play element.
Yeah, but
They're a little boring and
Cam's
prodding.
value comes from his rushing, from his ability to get rushing touchdowns,
No,
which he
that's
did
true.
in this game to salvage fantasy points. So even in an abysmal passing game, he still got you some fantasy points. It wasn't amazing. But I do have to say,
a decent game.
James White with 8 receptions for 65 yards, I'm keeping an eye on that. I almost dropped James White, and then I didn't, and I'm glad I held on because he's getting integrated back into that offense. And they had a horrible game, and he still put up that sort of line. I love the way they're using him. And he's got Belichick's trust. So
What I'll say, though, is that you just explained why it's so frustrating to own a Patriots running back.
Yeah.
And it's not just because you don't know when it's going to be worth starting them, but also because you're using a roster spot on a guy where it's like, hey, he just put up this many receiving yards. Maybe you hold on another week to see if he does it again, and then you can start him. Next year, I am not getting into any of those situations in the draft. Like having thought through all this and talked through all this as much as we have. Those guys that you keep on your roster that you don't plan on starting week in and week out, those are just killers.
Crazy enough, not a really high-scoring game for quarterbacks. Cam was under 20 points in conventional leagues, 11th
Barely.
quarterback for fantasy, so not bad. I mean, you were probably smart to start him
It's
in most
horrible
leagues.
game, but he still finished as the 11th.
Look at his fantasy points, though, this season per game. 25 against Miami week 1, 34 against Seattle, Raiders week 3, 11, Denver 18.
Yeah.
So we got to figure out which is the real Cam.
Also, but what did it cost for you to get him? I just want to say that.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
basically nothing.
Right.
But, there's a lot of
I picked it off
reshuffling.
with the waiver wire, so
This is the game I wanted to talk about next, but it's a perfect transition since we talked about the Patriots not practicing. Doesn't seem to matter not practicing to the Tennessee Titans and Derrick Henry
oh boy.
because he's otherworldly.
He is, yeah.
He's the LeBron of
He's
the
a
NBA.
man
He's
amongst
insane.
boys out there. The way he's just stiff-arming people into another realm. Just
It's Jim Brownlee.
that breakaway speed, too, for a guy that big with that breakaway speed is just nuts, man. Watching that 96-yard run, I was just like
it's
taken
insane.
aback.
It's insane.
Am I crazy for thinking that Derrick Henry is going to win somebody a Super Bowl at some point?
Yes.
Yeah,
Like,
Because
I seriously think that
rushing
at some
offenses
point in
don't
the
win
next
Super Bowls.
5 years, Derrick Henry is just going to be enough
No.
offensively
He's
that if
not.
you just get
I'm
that
sorry.
defense going, it's going to
Henry,
work out.
I love watching good running backs, but running offenses don't win Super Bowls in the modern NFL. They just don't.
Yeah, it's mostly true.
Yeah.
I mean,
But I don't- I
I'll
mean,
compile some stuff for you later.
Derrick
I don't
Henry
want to do
is
it right
so
now.
ungodly right now.
Yeah.
It's
Seriously.
maybe. I mean, he's already an outlier. It's not. It's crazy, but it's not crazy.
And I
to
love the
think
way
that's
it opens up options for Tannehill as well. With Jonnu Smith
Well,
and with A.J. Brown back, A.J. Brown looks like a beast out there too, man. He's throwing
Yeah.
people around.
That's a
He's-
big man.
Yeah, I love it.
made it worth it to hold on to him because
Yeah,
it was
if
tough.
you did
as,
hold on to him.
and lots of we,
Shout out to
we
the
all
BFC letting him
liked
pick him up off
AJ
the waiver
Brown.
wire.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there you go. Right, right. You took advantage. Interesting.
Take it.
No Jonnu Smith, but the tight end for the Titans goes off. Fersker, whatever his Ferkser. Just a nice endorsement for Jonnu that even when he's not there, the tight end's still productive. Also, can I toot my horn on Derrick
Sure.
Henry? Was I not the highest
ahead, toot,
on our
toot.
crew?
I think you were, yeah.
Probably were.
But it's not like we had him that far behind. It's like you're arguing, oh, I had him at 5th and you guys had him at 6th or 7th. It's like, okay, take your little pat on the back. We'll get to my pats later.
The argument, we're going to
Yeah.
get to your pats. The argument that is not settled is our phenomenal bet on the Houston Texans and who will be
bro.
their most productive fantasy receiver.
Every time I watch the Texans, I just think of that.
It's like playing Russian roulette, watching the Texans on Red Zone and seeing what receiver is going to get you the fantasy points. It was a Will Fuller day. Love when I predict a Will Fuller day. Few things make me
Brandon
happier.
Cooks didn't do poorly, though. I mean, he still had, 68 yards?
Brandon Cooks, low-key viable fantasy starter all of a sudden.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's wild.
Especially, I mean, it's the
It's wild.
9 catches that really do it for you, too. Like, he is just such a key part of that offense. In a PPR league, like, I think he is worth starting for sure.
I mean,
Yep.
yeah, I'm starting him.
Crazy.
Yeah.
And
Especially
David,
since their defense is not very good and they always have to air it out to come back. So
Right.
there's always a chance.
and I mean, just nice seeing the Texans put up points. That's obviously big for David Johnson owners, Deshaun Watson owners. It's big. It's nice when that's a team that's productive.
So right now,
fantasy-wise.
Will Fuller on the season, 455 with 4 touchdowns. Brandon Cooks, 367 and 2 touchdowns. So I don't know if we're going by yards or if we're going by
Wow.
fantasy points, but it's somewhat close.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm
and
liking
Will
how this is
Fuller's,
shaping up.
clock's ticking. It's time to miss some time, Will Fuller. That's
Yeah.
coming up. So,
But, you
Yeah.
can say that about Brandon Cooks, too. So
certainly.
injuries
And
will decide the season, I think.
you had Kenny Stills in that?
Yeah. Well, the good ones were taken.
Kenny, man.
The good ones were taken.
I don't know what
He
happened
said.
to Kenny.
You started that off by talking about Kenny Stills,
I
and
know.
we countered with the other two guys.
Yeah, I know. But it was like a value thing.
Kenny didn't even play, I don't think. No, he didn't.
No. No.
Yikes.
You guys
dude.
can
Randall
have fun with your
Cobb.
bet, though.
Yeah, Randall Cobb's going
Be ready
to
to-
produce Kenny Stills.
You're
Take
out
it
of it.
when you want to give it to me at the end.
Any other storylines from this game?
That's the you can give it to me at the end. That's kind of how the Bengals felt in this Colts game. The Bengals went up early and then they were like, nah, I'll kind of give it to you at the end. We don't really care.
David Johnson salvaged the day with a touchdown.
Yeah, this is big for David Johnson that like the Texans are back to being a fun offense without.
Yeah, yes,
but
but
Bill
also
O'Brien.
they scored 36 points and he only had 57 yards on 19 carries with 1 touchdown and he
3
had 1
yards per
reception
carry.
for 12. That's
The
that
man
to
is
me.
worthless.
That to me, worthless. I would say
Worthless.
you could
I mean,
sell him
he's-
for something right
He's
now.
a top 12 back.
Especially considering
Yeah,
all the
he's-
injuries
he's
around the
not
league, he's not
sexy,
worthless.
man.
But I would like to get rid of him, especially considering. For me, the value going into the season was the fact that Bill O'Brien was getting raked over the coals because he made that trade for him.
Yeah.
And I feel like he was getting pressured to play him more and more to basically recoup.
Some cost fallacy.
Yes.
We love that
But
one.
he's a victim of that, and his job is on the line. Now, Romeo Crennel's job isn't on the line because they're going to find a replacement for him anyway.
Right.
And he's just out there having fun and drawing up his new offense. And I don't know if David Johnson features in that offense enough to warrant where he was drafted. And if you can get rid of him, I think this is a sell high point right now.
19 carries, though.
We're
know.
fast forwarding into this next game, but these Bengals Colts, 2 interesting candidates who maybe you could target in a David Johnson trade, like Jonathan Taylor. How long am I to wait for Jonathan Taylor to give me something? And I know look. By contract, Guy and I need to go through a 2-minute rigmarole of, well, the touches, and I say, well, the production, and it's the endless back and forth, right? So he does have a really nice lock on that backfield. I will not argue that for the
It's like a Sam and Diane thing we got going on here.
totally. But like, come on, against the Bengals, we get 31 points from that Colts offense, and I can't get more than 60 yards on 12 carries.
I know.
Nothing in the passing game. Oh, no, 4 for 55.
Yeah.
That's how he always does it. In PPRs, he always gives you those 9 points on top of the 6 he gives you as a rusher. 15 points, not bad in this
Naheem
climate
Hines was
for a
supposed to be
running
the
back.
receiving back too, which is wild to
know.
me that Naheem Hines has just disappeared from this offense.
But the
does
difference
nothing.
between Jonathan Taylor and David Johnson, like David Johnson just got his touchdown. That's the separation. Like Jonathan Taylor gave you more rushing yards on 12 carries versus 19. Plus, he was more of a factor in the receiving game.
No, I
Like,
know, and that's what
Right,
I'm saying
so
is I
is
would
that a
rather
nice
have that
target?
For sure.
because
For sure.
touchdowns are like they're super variable.
Yeah.
but like
Unless
production
Jonathan
is
Taylor not getting them.
more consistent. Yeah,
Well, and also,
Like, and then what is going on
I mean,
there?
as frustrated as I am, the arrow should be pointing up
Yeah,
with Jonathan Taylor.
for sure.
right.
David Johnson, I think we've kind of plateaued. This is what he is.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mixon,
in a trade
instead,
between the two, I would rather have.
I
Jonathan
guess
Taylor, if
Mixon,
that
you're
needs to be
not going to
said.
get him.
No.
T.
No.
Higgins, is that a nice David Johnson target?
No,
Higgins?
no.
Yo,
I like what
Higgins?
I like what he's doing, but wide receivers so deep that I value running backs almost
fair.
twice
Yep.
as much as wide receivers at this point. So I won't make a straight up trade like that unless it's like I'm getting a really good wide receiver.
Not you either. We should all be valuing
I'm saying.
running backs twice as much as wide receivers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Just availability. That's such a more valuable commodity. We are waiting for Mo Alley Cox. Henry, you keep talking him up. And
Well, he'll be back from injury this week, and then he'll be
waiting
back
on
and
him.
break out. It'll be just fine. I think that the other tight end had a decent day, didn't he? Trey Burton is who they played instead of him because he didn't
Trey
play.
Burton.
4
killed.
catches, 58 yards, and a touchdown. But those, he's going to go back to being the number 2. Like, I wouldn't jump on those waiver claims just because it will still be Mo Alley Cox's job once he gets back.
Yeah. AJ Green had a decent day.
He
I don't
did.
know.
He
I don't know
did.
if
He
he's
did.
like
Tyler Boyd
resuscitated. I don't know if he's
surprisingly.
worth starting at this point. Tyler Boyd,
No.
I want to see more from Tyler Boyd, man. He has had some really good weeks.
He's had some great weeks.
I don't
But
know.
Higgins is creeping, man.
Yeah, he had 8 targets, so it's not like he's just like non-existent.
No. Boyd's the solid starter out of that group.
Yeah.
Falcons, Vikings, man.
Oh man, for a game that I didn't even think was going to happen. But I'm going to quickly pat myself on the back here. Someone asked us on the last week pod who they should drop between Minshew and Matt Ryan, and Matt Ryan had just come off like a 6-point game. I said, I know I don't have evidence for this to be the truth, but I just have a feeling that Matt Ryan will come back under a new coach, and they will feature him better because Dan Quinn is just dumb as heck. And
he was beastly.
yeah,
And also, if you look at the two of them, it's
I'm
like,
glad Matt
what
Ryan's
is
back, man.
what is Gardner Minshew's ceiling compared to Matt Ryan's ceiling? Like,
Yeah,
it's
right.
Matt Ryan is definitely the guy that you.
well,
worth holding on
Minshew has
to.
rushing potential where Matt Ryan doesn't. So in fantasy,
Yeah.
that means a lot.
Yeah,
But true ceiling, Matt Ryan's ceiling is like 5,000 yard passer and like
exactly.
top 10 all time offense.
Yeah, and an NFL MVP because he's already done
Right,
it.
exactly.
So, yes.
Yeah. I'll pat myself on the back for this game. Justin Jefferson, we got a ton of questions with guys contemplating Jefferson and the flex. I stood by Jefferson most of the week. He was the most productive wide receiver in PPR.
I started Jefferson in both my leagues. I don't know if I was against that. Was I?
I think you were mostly. The
for
problem is we had a lot of Claypools in there.
Yeah. Oh, I think
Yeah.
I was mostly on the stance
So-
that game wasn't going to happen. So
Right.
I wasn't ready to take anybody in that game because I was like,
That's
I don't want
2020 for
to
ya.
put too many eggs in that basket, and then the game doesn't happen, and then you're screwed.
But anyways, Justin Jefferson.
Claypool, dude,
Dope.
we'll get to that.
Claypool.
Yep. We'll
dope.
get to that.
Julio Jones, when healthy, dope. Calvin Ridley, when still healthy, dope. Hayden Hurst has a decent game as far as tight ends. The underwhelming part of this game is the running backs, man.
Alexander
I know.
Madison just straight up
Mega
busted.
letdown.
So much
Mega
hype
letdown.
last
And I was
week.
warning
did
everyone.
nothing.
I was warning everyone not to go all in on Madison, man.
I know.
But
So
you
again,
thought
another
Cook
little
might
pat on the
still
back.
play.
Right.
Yeah.
But I still, it
Got all
wasn't
the
worth it to me to
touches and
take
he
Madison.
sucked.
Yeah.
Ugh.
He was terrible.
Against that defense, too.
And that's the thing, is that you think, like, for all the things that
blown golden
I-
opportunity.
just so frustrating.
Blown
just
golden
so
opportunity.
frustrating to not be able to get anything done.
All right, the JV game of the night, that was Giants against Washington football team. One of these teams doesn't even have a name. I don't know. J.D. McKissick, is that the storyline in this?
You sound so enthusiastic about this
yeah,
one.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's like we're taking a
We can
water
just
break.
gloss straight over this. I will say,
Daniel Jones is like your emergency QB start.
yeah.
He kind of does this, right? He ran for
looked
74
horrible, though.
yards.
I watched him throw an interception, and it was just such a bad throw
He's
Yeah.
bad.
in the
He's
back of
not
the end
good.
zone. It was just like,
I-
I don't know how anyone was just there. Like everybody in New York was like, "Oh, remember when everyone laughed at us for taking Daniel Jones? It was, what was it, like the 10th pick or something like that?"
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, can you hold your horses? And this is what you were holding your horses for.
Sixth
Was the
overall.
fall back to earth.
I don't know who needs to hear this, but if you're in a dynasty league and you're still holding on to Daniel Jones, please sell now.
Yeah.
He will not be the quarterback of that franchise next year. He's just a sacrificial lamb.
Yep.
I would sell.
You know, we talk about, like, Trevor Lawrence. Are there, like, 3 teams in the league that wouldn't draft Trevor Lawrence if they got the number 1 pick? And then you get to, like, Justin Fields at number 2, and maybe there's, like, 4 or 5 more that you're like, yep, they are committed to their guy compared to Justin Fields. The Giants, though, like, if those 2 guys are off the board, I think they have to take a quarterback no matter what.
Yeah. Is this a Kyler Murray and what was that guy's name? I don't remember his name.
Cliff Kingsbury. Oh, yeah,
No.
yeah. Josh Rosen. deal.
Yeah, Josh Rosen is
Oh.
one of those situations where
I
it's
mean-
like you just drafted Daniel Jones 2 years ago, but if you have a chance at a guy like I mean,
Yeah.
2
I don't
years
know
ago
enough
is
about
much
Justin
more
Fields.
normal. Josh
Yeah.
Rosen was 1 year.
Was it
That's
1
why
year?
it was kind
It
of
was.
unique.
I don't know enough about Justin Fields to say that, but Trevor Lawrence,
Seems
that's
waste.
easy call. But Justin Fields, would you, if
Oh,
you're
yeah.
the Giants,
Easily.
moving
Oh, yeah.
on
And
instantly?
I'd say, like, as low as I am on Trey
Yes.
Lance, like, he's still a
But
better
they have so
option.
many
Like,
holes to fill that if you have that number 2 overall pick, if you can sell that for a ransom and then fill other holes on your team,
so that you
Yeah.
can
And
trade
just-
up for a quarterback
If you got to
next
get a
year.
franchise quarterback, you
Exactly.
get a franchise quarterback.
Like, if you're
is
in
Justin Fields
position,
that good though?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
Because we're kind of,
He's a lot better than Daniel Jones.
Word.
Yeah,
I don't want to
this
get too
is
far away
for-
from our recap.
This is
here.
for Devy
Yeah.
League specifically.
Yeah, exactly.
It is.
But yeah, that's our little side tangent.
I will say
on
though, Antonio
Giants,
Gibson. If
Washington
I'm in a dynasty, I am very intrigued by Antonio Gibson. The way they're starting to work him in. It's been slow, but
It's been
I mean
slow.
but you're seeing production, man.
But
9 attempts rushing, and he had 4 receptions as well. J.D. McKissick, this is an outlier for him, but for Antonio Gibson, I think this is the way that they want to use him, and this is the way that they've been trending with him, and I see good things there. And right now, this is I think this is as low as you're going to be able to buy him, and he's only going to go up from here. So as bad as that team is, I think Antonio Gibson is the guy to own on the team, and that's with Terry McLaurin 7 for 74. It wasn't he's not living up to where he was drafted, and until they get a good quarterback, he's not going to be that good. But Antonio Gibson, I think, can still produce without a good quarterback.
And I think that when that good quarterback comes, then you're in great shape with Antonio Gibson. That's why in not development leagues, dynasty leagues, that there is some upside long term that I like. In terms of like this season, if you're a playoff team, I don't think you're going to want to be starting him.
Yeah. Last one I'll touch on here. Evan Ingram, is he at all worth owning? Is he droppable at this point?
He's been dropped.
I dropped him 3 weeks ago.
I mean, he had one decent game. I think he got a touchdown last week or something like that.
He got a touchdown last week.
Because remember, I was on this podcast saying, I know they're playing the Cowboys and he's going to go score and I'm going to look bad for cutting him, but I know that I'm not going to buy into it. I'm going to sell him anyway. Yeah. Well, here it was. I actually got to play against him in that league where I cut him.
Oh, nice.
And that was a great feeling. 2 catches, 30 yards. It's like, this is what you deserve.
He's a whack-a-mole guy. You know, there's like 3 weeks out of 16 that you could start him. Yeah. Good luck guessing those 3.
Yep.
Ravens, Eagles, praise the fantasy gods. Lamar Jackson is back to running the football, gets that rushing touchdown, gets the 108 yards on the ground. They needed that. Little else to take away from the Ravens standpoint.
You know what's crazy is that the
odd grade offense that really has no fantasy starters outside of their quarterback.
Yeah, I was about to say that.
It's whack.
They keep scoring all these points, and somehow none of these guys are startable.
And there have been some big
You've been on this for a while. Too. Andrews, though, very disappointed.
Yeah, and this is why you don't after the top 2 tight ends in the draft. This is why you don't draft those middle guys, because Mark Andrews looked promising, and this is what he's doing. Zach Ertz looked promising, and
I mean Evan Ingram was in that tier. I mean he was at the bottom end of that
for
tier.
33. That's not what you drafted him in the 3rd or the 4th for. Zach Ertz has been non-existent this season.
Zach Ertz has been really bad.
And
Zach Ertz has been
in like the 4th.
He was seen as a top 5 guy. Yeah, it's
Eagles
been
fan,
a bummer.
Allie, you better cover your ears for this one.
Travis Fulgham, though, nice waiver wire pickup.
Yeah.
Loved him. Really sad news because Miles Sanders was killing it.
Did he get injured?
Against,
Yep.
Yeah, he gets injured.
Will not be playing against the Giants.
It won't be playing next week. Boston Scott.
No,
Yeah,
I'm not doing it, man.
I agreed. I didn't.
I don't know.
I looked through. I was
Week
trying to figure out.
one, he did nothing.
Yeah.
And we've already been burned by handcuffs already, and I don't see it in Boston Scott at this point.
In a 1-win offense when he's
Yeah, I was
probably
gonna
still
say.
splitting time with Corey Clement. It's just
In a PPR, you could do worse. That's all I'll say.
You know what's
Sleep on Boston, Scott.
I agree with
Okay,
Allie.
Eagles
Don't
fans.
sleep
Yeah.
on Boston Scott.
Allie's gonna hurt us for these takes, but
Like to be just referenced to as Eagles fan. I have a name, Henry.
I said Eagles fan Allie.
okay, Eagles fan.
We got
Eagles fan.
producer Allie here.
What's wild to me though is that the Eagles currently lead the NFC East in in point differential at -34. How crazy is that?
Yeah, it's wild looking
What?
at the standings.
Yeah,
and
I don't
looking
think
at
I want
point
anyone on this
differential.
team outside of Travis Fulgham, and that's a guy who I didn't even know his name to start the season. I guess Miles Sanders, depending on his injury, if you could get him for
Nice.
low right now, if you have a winning record and he's gonna be back in like 4-ish weeks, I would try to buy him right now because that's your playoff push right there. You might be able to take advantage of a team that's maybe like a 1-5 or a 2-4 that's desperate for wins. If you can go out and buy Miles Sanders, that's the only other guy I'd want on this team.
In my just terrible team that I have going, where I finally was excited.
Which one? Because I know you have multiple terrible teams, don't you?
Well, just the
I think you
injuries.
forgot to set some lineups.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Terrible.
know.
Left
I
Julio
thought
Jones
that I
on
did
your
it, but then we're on the
bench.
tailgate
How
show right
dare you.
before.
Man,
But yeah,
isn't this your job?
How
yes,
dare
that's
you.
my job.
Wow.
Yes, that's my job. But yeah, in the one where I'm finally excited that I get to play Michael Thomas for the first time.
Oh,
Miles Sanders out 2
Suspended.
weeks. It's like, ugh. all
yeah,
right.
but didn't Michael Thomas get suspended?
Oh, did he get suspended? Did I miss that?
He punched people.
yeah.
Oh, I didn't.
Okay.
Get this.
So he's back from his injury and he can't even play because of his attitude.
Okay. Well, yeah.
Browns Steelers, we're really excited to talk about Chase Claypool.
Oh.
I'm putting an end to that conversation.
I called this as the game the Browns fell back to earth, did I not? I wouldn't even endorse Kareem Hunt last week.
Dude,
That is how
anybody
strongly I
could've
felt
called
about this. Come on,
Anybody
man.
could have called.
They're
If you were
4-1
bought in on the
and they're one of the
Browns,
highest scoring
51%
offenses.
of the money was on the Browns spread in this.
What are
Thank
people
you. And they're
thinking?
one of the highest scoring offenses in the NFL right now. I want to say they're top 5.
Really exciting to watch.
And
too.
OBJ
No,
has
I've
been on
watched.
fire. Kareem Hunt's been doing well, and I wouldn't endorse my boy Kareem Hunt. I wouldn't endorse him. I wouldn't take any of the Browns. And I said they're going to fall back to earth, and
Well,
here we are. And I
yeah.
also said Chase Claypool. He outperformed Juju, did he not?
He did. He did
Thank
not
you.
outperform Justin Jefferson, but Claypool is a must-own. He's a must-start. He's the number 1 wide receiver in Pretty nice offense. Also, mad shout out to James Conner.
Yep.
Great game.
So we have a question on the Discord that's relevant to this game if you want me to ask it.
Yes, I would love for you to ask that.
So, Joseph, would you sell Phil for Juju or John Brown? So, Juju in this game, let's go over his stat line versus Chase Claypool and how that relates to the Steelers moving forward. He had 2 receptions for 6 yards. Am I reading that right?
Yeah, you aren't.
Why?
You are not
I'm
trading
sorry.
Phil
Why
for
would you
either
be
of
buying
those.
into that? Melvin Gordon, he's like that's a he had a non-COVID illness and he's dealing with the DUI stuff, but he's not done on the team. He's going to be back at some point. So Lindsey, even though he had a nice game, what's his future moving forward look like?
I mean, in this season, even if he is getting half of the touches, that is still very much worthy of a running back 2 spot.
No, he does already have Cook, Drake, Swift, and Mike Davis.
Yeah. As much as I value running backs, if you have those as your running backs,
Cook, Swift, who?
Drake,
Mike,
and Mike
Davis.
Davis.
I would sell Drake. I think that's the move. I think that at this point, after a big game,
Or
we'll get there.
Or even sell Swift for John Brown.
That's what I
if
was
you
gonna
can
say.
sell Swift, yeah. But I just
Like,
don't think
I don't
you're
need
I'd be
the
selling Swift
sticker
and not
price
Lindsey.
of a Juju, you know?
Yeah, I'd be selling Swift and not Lindsey.
Yeah.
But anyway,
I just don't know what you're getting for Swift.
We'll get into Swift.
yeah, we'll
I
get
don't
back
know.
to this Cleveland Browns
Yeah, we will.
and Pittsburgh Steelers game though.
Yeah, no, outside of James Conner and Claypool, though, I don't think you have too many takeaways.
No.
And the Browns' offense really crumbling back to earth.
Yep.
That's about it. Before we jump into the second half of games, want to remind you of our great sponsor, the DraftKings Sportsbook. Download their top-rated app now and use code DNVR when you sign up to get this can't-miss offer. You can pick either Penn State or Ohio State. Big Ten football's back.
Ooh.
Bet $1 on them and cash $100 if they win. That's $1 to win $100. And use promo code DNVR during sign up for a limited time only at DraftKings Sportsbook. It's an amazing offer. Must be 21 or older. Colorado only. Bonus comprised of a first deposit bonus and a first bet match, each up to $500. Deposit bonus requires 25 times playthrough. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700. You're wearing a Buffs jersey. You cover the Buffs. Ohio State plays Nebraska and
Boo.
will absolutely
Boo
murder
both
the
those
Huskers. You can put $1 on Ohio State and win 100 and just love life while you watch the Huskers get whooped on.
That doesn't seem right. Is that how that works? You
That's
put
a
$1 on
phenomenal
Ohio State
offer.
and you win $100.
That's the
Yeah.
offer. Yeah.
That's why it's an
Do you have to
incredible
be like
offer.
a new user or something?
That's correct.
You do.
Damn.
Hey, you got
I'm
like
not
a
a new
fake
user,
ID
so
or
yeah.
something you can use.
No, Henry. It
Henry, are
doesn't
you
work
endorsing
that way.
fraud live on our podcast?
Oh, I think I might have accidentally done that. Yep.
It
Accidentally.
doesn't work that way. Bears Panthers. Suddenly, if I see one of these teams on the card, I'm going to have some pause fantasy-wise about starting the offenses going against them.
No.
Dude, the Panthers defense
Yeah.
has performed.
Oh,
has
never
kind of
mind.
been a fantasy killer.
Sorry, I thought you were saying you have pause about these offenses. You're saying you have pause against
Right.
about the offenses going against them. Yes. I was to say this is
Exactly.
all about the defenses.
Exactly.
Okay, cool.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I misunderstood you.
Yep.
I'm on board with what you're saying though.
No problem, my friend. Yeah, aside from that, hey, DJ Moore slowly but surely coming alive. He, similar to Allen Robinson or David Montgomery, he's probably killing where you drafted him. But it's nice that DJ Moore hasn't had to be cut by this point because it was trending that way for a minute.
It was really
I
close.
would sell, man.
And even these last couple games,
If
like-
you can, you better sell. But
Right.
I'm not sure who's
Well,
like
you're saying
chomping
it's
at the
trending
bit
in a
to-
good direction,
it
but
is.
I mean,
it sounds like you're endorsing keeping him. I would be like, to me, this just is like, I'm glad he
it depends
produced.
who's there.
I always wanted him in drafts and was never able to get him, and I've been targeting him, trying to trade for him, and now all of a sudden, just like, ooh, now I'm staying away. I don't like the way he's being used in the offense personally. I
It'd be
mean,
a
he had a good game, don't get me
fun-
wrong, but I still think that it's Robbie Anderson's. That's his.
Be a fun exercise
receiver
to
one right
do,
there.
like
Would you
DJ
rather?
Moore. Would you sell him for Juju? No.
No.
Would you sell him for Keelan Cole,
No.
who's on the next game
No.
we'll talk about?
No.
No.
Kenny Galladay, yes. T. Higgins?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's where you start to
especially
get
in
close.
Dynasty. If you're in a
Oh,
Dynasty.
yeah, in a dynasty.
What are
DJ
you
Moore,
talking
though.
about?
I mean, it's
No.
not
Dude,
like
DJ
no.
Moore was a first rounder 2
Yeah.
years
Yeah,
ago.
but T. Higgins
man.
is developing chemistry with Joe Burrow. They're both rookies.
DJ will get there.
T. Higgins is a guy that I was so just beside myself that I didn't get T. Higgins in our Dynasty League.
Because, T. Higgins was only going about pick, 10th pick of my rookie drafts in dynasties.
What?
Yeah, he wasn't
He was
going
going later
super
than
high.
that. I'm saying he
Oh,
was going
sure.
like
Or
second, maybe even
later.
third round.
No, I mean, he was around that Ayuk,
Yeah,
Michael
who cares about
Pittman.
yeah, but who cares
type
about the
of-
draft capital at this point? The way they're producing,
But I'm
and
just saying,
the
compared
system
to
that they're
DJ
in.
Moore.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm saying right now
Higgins.
where they're at and the offenses that they're in, I'd way rather have Higgins. 1-for-1, straight up. DJ Moore, T. Higgins. I'd take T.
LaVisca?
Higgins.
It's
No.
close.
Too soon?
Really?
It's too
Okay.
soon. Yeah.
I think. I mean,
I like LaVisca, but he also has an injury history, and I
Okay.
need to see that, and I need to see what
Yeah.
happens with the Jags because that team is all of a sudden a mess.
I will
and
say
I don't want to
throughout
invest
the
in that
whole
offense.
process, the injuries have not really scared me all that much. Just because I was up so close and watching what happened with the injuries,
No.
and so that hasn't been too big of a concern for me. The thing about DJ Moore though is he put up 87 catches for 1,175 yards last year, and he has that proven already, and that's
Yes.
why it's so hard to take.
But
a
what's
rookie
he doing
instead.
right now?
That would
on
be
this
my
team?
only
Yeah,
argument.
I mean it hasn't
6
been
games
as
is
good.
not a small sample size. Like
But he was slow in the last two. He's played up a little.
Yeah, I think. Let's see.
a little bit.
I mean, he's out. He's been their wide receiver 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah, I don't
Is
know.
that
I'm
can't
still
be
not
right.
buying in. I mean,
Well, I mean, that's-
if we want to make a bet, we could do that.
I mean,
You wouldn't sell. Would you sell him for DeAndre Swift? That's the next game we're getting
No,
into.
I don't want anything. I've been very public about
Well-
disliking the Lions' backfield.
It's time to eat some crow because DeAndre Swift, for the
Wow.
first time in ages,
Yeah, the
14
first
carries,
time. Yeah,
116 yards on the ground, 2 rushing touchdowns.
I'll gladly eat this crow this week, and then once the
3
season ends and he
receptions on
does
top of
nothing
that.
else, I'll be force feeding you crow through a tube.
I mean, I think this is already goes against your he's done in Detroit stance.
Did I say he was done in
I
Detroit?
mean,
I just said
essentially-
I don't want him.
Essentially, you said, it's over. There's no
I
there's
just don't
no
want any
point
piece
in
of that
having him
backfield.
whatsoever.
I did say he was droppable. Yes.
Third
Yeah.
most
But this
productive
is
running
like-
back in fantasy.
This is
in
like with
PPRs.
Hank with Evan Ingram, where you're like, you knew you were going to get burned on one game, but in the larger scope, you're not going to regret dropping him. I mean, if you could sell him, go for it.
I don't know.
I would be holding on to him, man. If
I
I saw him on the
don't
waiver
know.
wire, I can tell you I would not pick him up.
Think week 1 if he gets that touchdown, how much different
my
his
God.
production is.
yeah,
And he's trending in the right direction. He's a receiving
is.
back.
Yeah.
I've held on.
Just
to
think
him
about
through
in
all
Super
of
Bowl
this.
48 if that snap didn't go over
Hank's
Peyton's
held
head. There's so
on.
many ifs in life,
Hank's held on.
but you can't change the past. And that was a horrible
Well,
drop.
I mean, it was his first start in his career in
Yeah.
an odd off season with no preseason.
It was a fluky play.
Fluky play, and you read too much into it. And that's why you're eating crow now. Matthew Stafford, I don't know what to do with Matthew Stafford. I guess he's fine, but he's Matthew Stafford.
Exactly.
It sucks because I was so high on him in the draft.
I know, me too.
Because I was like, this is going to be the guy that breaks out, and I was all in on Kenny Golladay and Marvin Jones Jr. I don't know what happened, man. I mean, I guess the Lions just happened because that's what the Lions do.
The Lions.
I'm glad we don't
lined.
have any Lions fans in the company because, boy, they'd be having a tough time.
That'd be
right now.
sad. What was our Myles Gaskin bet? Did we set that at 18.5 in
Oh.
PPRs?
I think it was 20. You bullied me into
I
20.
bullied you into 20. Got 16.6.
Come on, man. That's still good. That's my point, though, is I wanted to lower it to like 15
had
or
a
something,
really
like
good
12.
He had a
Still
really good
16.
game.
Come on. And that's the thing is you said it was an
had a
outlier.
good
You
game.
said that game against the Niners was an outlier, and it wasn't.
RB7.
And I guess that was the Jets, so I'm not going to take too much credit because everyone's whooping up on the
I
Jets.
mean, this is such an example of how bad running backs are in fantasy right now. He's RB7, Jonathan in PPRs. Jonathan Taylor's RB8.
Can I just say, though, that I called Myles
James
Gaskin breaking out a week
Robinson's
before it
RB9.
happened? I've been on this Myles Gaskin train
James White, RB10.
since before it was cool. I'm like that guy that burns his mouth on the pizza.
I mean, let's see, because now they've got a quarterback change there, and I wonder how it'll last.
oh my God!
Yeah.
Can I just take a moment? I just want to thank Ryan Fitzmagic for everything that he's done. I can't believe that they're
He'll
going
be
with
back.
Tua right now because
He'll be back.
Fitzmagic has done nothing wrong, and they're making a QB change. This breaks my heart. I have him on 2 teams, And all of a sudden, I got to drop him and pick someone else up, even though he's been performing well and he didn't get injured, and the team isn't. Like, what are they
But
doing?
that was his job.
They're winning too many games.
Yeah. Oh my God.
That's
It's
what they're doing.
You think so?
Yes.
I don't know. I think that this was the plan.
There's
all
no
along.
point in
Like,
winning 8 games with Fitzpatrick.
This is the sort
They
of thing
figured
that
if we're gonna do that, we might as well develop the kid.
Oh my God.
I don't know. Well,
I'm
I
sorry
can
to break
kinda
it
get
to
that.
ya.
Like, but
You're saying
I
it's
think we have different views on tanking, where I think that it is
it's-
very, very,
it's a win-win
very
for them,
rare.
so they
Not
lose games,
where
and they get a higher
tanking.
draft pick, and they get more experience with Tua
No,
at the same time.
it's not even like purposely trying to tank, but it's
Well, you
like
just
if
said
we're
they're
gonna
winning
be
too many games.
if we're gonna be competitive, we might as well be competitive while developing the kid.
Yeah, but if you start Ryan Fitzpatrick, what's your contingency plan? At what point are you like, okay, like when you went into it, you're like, okay, this is what we're gonna give him a chance to do, and this is when we pull the plug.
I think
And
that
all
this
of a
was the
sudden,
plan
doing
all along.
too well was one of those.
I don't
points
think
where
that
you
was
pull
it.
the plug?
I think that
Look
all
how
the
it
way
works.
through, like the plan was, you have the.
I mean, this is
a top
about
5
Tua,
pick at
though, and not
quarterback. Exactly.
Fitzpatrick.
It doesn't matter what
Has
Ryan
nothing to do
Fitzpatrick
with your plan
did.
for Fitzpatrick.
He could have 20 touchdowns and 0 interceptions right now, or he could have 0 touchdowns and 20 interceptions, and I think he would have played the first 6 games. And at this point, they're subbing Tua in because that was the plan all along. Like,
I just want to say
hats
hats
I'm
off to
surprised by
Ryan
it, too.
Fitzpatrick because he's one of the I love watching him play,
surprised by
and he's so supportive of Tua.
Yeah.
Even in the face of
Because
this
it's
playing
what
so
they're-
well, and you're going to get benched. I mean, he's still supportive, and I love to see that. And it sucks because it's like
But it's because that was his job this
Yeah, I
season.
know.
Like, they sat him down and said,
Doing a great job.
first half of the year, you're the starter, and then Tua's going to take over.
He's
Still.
a true hipster hero.
he's a professional, man. And
Everyone
that's his
loves him.
profession. And what else? What else can
Everyone
he do to keep his job? I guess nothing. Anyway,
Exactly.
elsewhere in this game, let's just say Jamison Crowder was one of your starts last week. The Jets
Always
got
start
shut
with him.
out, and he still had 7 for 48.
He
I
will
think
never not get
that's
you
his
double
floor.
digits in PPR.
Yeah, that's
Ever.
11.8 points, and that's his floor. That's absurd to me.
I'd just sweat that out.
I know.
But
That came, like, all in the
still,
fourth
I'll
quarter,
take
didn't
it,
it?
man. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. But hey, I'll take it.
Where does he rank among wide receivers right now in fantasy? He's got to
Points
be like.
per game, he's
for
top
PPR?
4 in PPR.
Are you serious?
Points per
That's
game, he's top
hilarious,
4.
dude.
He's a beast.
I'm so glad. I have him in 2 leagues. And I'm just
He's a
loving it, dude.
phenom.
Yeah.
He's just killing it.
I think it's just that nobody else on that team is
Oh,
even a professional.
absolutely.
He's the little only one who's- yeah.
Absolutely.
They're like
not
the
an
Braxton Berrios horn
they're
one of
not
those
an
weeks?
NFL team. They're like, there's NFL talent, but they're not an NFL team.
Okay. Do you think that they could beat Clemson right now?
Clemson at full
The
strength
age-
without the
the age
opt-outs,
old-
it's possible.
Without the opt-outs, it's different.
Without the opt-outs.
Right now, they'd beat him.
It's close. Maybe not with Flacco, though.
The answer is no.
We're getting lost on too many side tangents, though,
Yes.
which I love. Packers, Bucks.
This was a surprise,
Packers.
man.
Dude.
Wow. Hey, Hank, we'll let you take this
Yeah.
one. Please answer for your boy Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, I mean,
And
it's
Bobby
a bad game.
Tunyon.
It's a bad
and
game.
I'm not. If you're worried about it long term,
Can we just say that the Bucs defense is really good?
I think we've been saying, haven't we?
Without Vita Vea, though,
But this
I
was,
didn't expect
I
them
know,
to
and
shut
this
down
was
the
like,
run
This
like
was their biggest test.
It was a huge test.
Yeah, I mean,
Todd
they just
Bowles
You know
is
what's crazy?
a phenomenal
Can we
defensive
say-
coordinator.
seriously, they just stole the momentum in that game,
Phenomenal.
and there was nothing the Packers could do. For
What's
the rest
weird
of the
is
way.
fantasy-wise, Ronald Jones and Gronkowski, like as big of a blowout with the Bucks 38 points, there weren't other like fantasy standouts aside from Rojo and Gronk. Which is
Yeah.
kind of crazy, man.
Rojo.
Yeah.
Rojo, baby.
Yeah, he actually played really well.
He's been great.
Yeah.
He's been great. I
didn't want anything to do with that Bucks backfield, but now that he's emerged, I'm like,
I've been holding
You
on
have-
to Ronald Jones stock for 2 years.
And
It
here
took
it is.
1 week of Fournette for me to jump off the ship, and then he broke out. He's been great ever since. So I guess that's what it took.
you know, it's crazy. The Packers got beat worse by the Bucks than the Broncos did. So does that make, by the transitive property, of the Broncos a better team than the Packers?
Yes.
I think the Packers are gonna be fine.
Oh,
I'm not worried about the
No,
Packers.
no. This
I
is
think-
it. This is the end, dude.
Yeah,
The sky's falling.
That was just. It was so crazy to watch how that Packers offense just flew down the field, like virtually
In the first
zero
quarter, those
resistance.
first 2
No,
drives,
that's
they
what
were
I'm
doing
saying.
so well. and then
Exactly. First 2
crash
drives,
burn.
they just fly down the field, zero resistance. It looks like they're gonna have their way. Meanwhile, the
Those
Bucs
2
can't get
picks
anything
seem
going the other way.
fluky, too.
Then pick 6, and you're just like, oh wow. And then a second pick, and you're just like we both did. We put more money on the Packers because it's
Don't
like,
talk
oh, this is the chance. But then once that momentum flipped, they just couldn't get it back, and that was interesting to see. And like maybe that's what you take away from the Packers more than anything is like Is there like a lack of resilience? Is
Kept
like something
doubling
weird
and
happened
tripling
there?
down on the Packers.
It was like a Monstar situation where
It
they
was
just like
horrible.
lost their, I don't know. But that was crazy to watch how they just all of a sudden went from incredible to terrible. And the game then they just never got it back.
Yeah. Shout out to Jets Timmy for his Rojo love. He finally was rewarded in this one. The Bucks are 4-2 all of a sudden.
No,
Are
they're
we-
great.
we're
good.
looking into that?
They're a
They're
good
great.
defense.
Yeah.
They're great.
Yeah, they're
Vegas
Not only
had
they're
them
good
as a
defense.
10-win team coming into the year. They're proving that to be true.
Yeah,
They
but
have as good a chance as
Gronk was
anybody
5
coming
for
out of
78
NFC.
with a touchdown. You buying into that? Or was that just an outlier?
He's starting to look better.
He
They're basically finally out of preseason, out of training camp. This is what a regular prep for a season would have taken.
Yeah.
And he's finally starting to
Yep.
be up to speed.
Godwin
And
was
also
finally
the-
back from his injury, and he was
much, though.
5 for
Not
48.
much.
I mean, that's in PPR. That's 9.8. That's not horrible.
Yeah.
No, it's not. But I mean,
I
again,
think they're just slow playing him because he's back from an injury.
well, sure. But I just think back to like our top 10 wide receivers coming into the year.
Yeah, Mike Evans was perfectly healthy and had 1 reception for 10. So
It's a disaster,
Yeah.
man.
right.
And,
It's a
Yeah.
disaster.
but we knew beforehand. Like, we knew beforehand it was going to be a down year. Like, Tom Brady throws the deep ball or doesn't throw the
I
deep
thought
ball.
you were
Mike
tooting
Evans
that
can't
Mike
do it.
Evans horn.
What?
I don't remember correctly, but I thought you were tooting that Mike Evans
I
horn.
certainly was not.
No, he
But-
was a Godwin guy.
Yeah, but like it was. I don't know. It's just a tough.
Rams Niners,
Offense. Like, maybe it's
mega
Tom-
bummer.
Yeah.
Oh
No,
boy.
No, I'm good.
I thought, okay. Like everyone stinks here
Yeah.
except for George Kittle. Nice to have George Kittle back.
Yeah.
We had an Ayuk Debo Samuel bet. Ayuk gets me the touchdown, but then Samuel gets the touchdown and runs away with it. So there you go. Congrats to you.
That's so begrudging. Yeah, congratulations.
To an actual horn? Is that what I'm supposed to do? Raheem Mostert, sadly injured. Maybe the waiver wire pickup is Jermichael Hasty, undrafted running back out of Baylor, who's kind of the next man up in that Niners
know,
offense,
man.
who somehow makes it work.
If you're desperate, you got to try something. Then sure. But I think that offense is designed to be run with like 3 running backs rotating in. I think that Raheem Mostert was just so good that the balance kind of shifted toward him. And I think we have a couple of years of evidence now that the way they want to run that is by just rotating guys in. And I think you're going to see a lot of Jerick McKinnon. I think that if you want to take the shot on it because you need a running back and you're at that point, you can. But I don't expect that shot to pay off.
There are too many good offenses in the NFL that aren't giving you enough viable fantasy players in them. This needs to stop.
Yeah.
There are many problems in our world, but this one, it's up there. Chiefs, Bills. We will not debate that.
Wait.
Interesting comments from Clyde Edwards-Helaire after the game saying specifically the hate he received on this podcast is what motivated him to play better.
Oh, yeah.
He goes off for 26 carries, 161
Famed
yards.
listener of this podcast, Clyde
Yes.
Edwards-Helaire. Yeah,
That's right.
That's my boy.
That's right.
And I'm not
I
gonna
mean,
claim myself a Chiefs
yeah.
fan, but yeah, I was holding on to him, and I was
You were.
naysaying both of you.
You
so
were.
again, my back is getting sore from all these pats, man. I think I might have a bruise right here.
Yeah. Is your hand getting sore because you're the one
Yeah,
patting too?
It
Yeah,
is.
well.
Yeah. I can pat myself. I was gonna pat it for me, man.
that feeling might leave you swiftly, if you know what I mean. Travis Kelce.
Yeah.
If there was one good call, it's that Travis Kelce was worth a first 2-round pick.
Yeah, you kind of glossed over that last game, but I was going to say George Kittle was as well.
Oh no,
George
George
Kittle's
Kittle,
amazing.
amazing.
Yeah. And I think
Amazing.
he's glad that Jimmy Garoppolo is back. And my question was going to be, do you think Jimmy Garoppolo, are you buying into him? Because the week prior, horrible game, and he got pulled. And then this week, he came back and redeemed himself against what was actually a very good team in the Rams.
Is
Jimmy Garoppolo, is he worth buying into? Yes, no.
No.
No?
No. Never
A
has.
3
never
touchdown,
will.
0 interception game?
For me,
I
never
think
has. Never
Against a
will.
good
I-
Rams team?
And see, that's where I'm not
Divisional?
so sure. Like, I'm sort of getting some sell the NFC West vibes. Like, I know
What?
that everybody loves them, but like
Oh my
watching
God.
that 49ers
I
Rams
love it.
game,
I
I
love
know,
it.
right? Watching that 49ers Rams game, those are not two like
This is a
good
good
football
take.
teams. I
good
don't
take.
think
I just
that this
got
was
burned
Jimmy
on that
Garoppolo
take,
being
dude. Someone
good.
call 911. I need to get to the burn
I
board.
don't think so. I think that this.
Dude. Do you know the Seahawks are in that division too?
Oh, yeah,
and
I
the
think-
Cardinals are in that division as
I think-
well. You want to sell the whole NFC West? Is that what you just
Well,
said?
I mean, I'm not selling it in terms of like every team is now bad, but this love where it's like
They might be
they're
a
going to have
little
4 playoff teams.
overrated,
It's like
right.
I think that they're going to have like the Seahawks going to win the division. I think
Okay,
the
bro,
Cardinals
when
sneak
two
into the
teams
wild
play
card
against each
spot.
other, you
I
know
don't
one of
think-
them has to lose or they tie, right? Like, they're still the best division of football. Easy.
I don't. I think
Would
I'm
you say the
saying
NFC
that-
South?
He's saying
I'm
that
kinda
might
out
be the
on it.
case, but the whole like 4 teams are making the playoffs.
Yeah.
Not 4, no.
But that's
But
what people were
this
saying.
year it's
That was-
mathematically
that
I
was
know
the
that that's
take.
possible. Yes,
This
I
year
know.
it's mathematically
I know,
possible.
and I've been down on the 49ers. I said because they're Super Bowl hangover, I said they weren't going to make the playoffs.
They're
For sure.
So I'm not on that 4 Super Bowl or 4 teams in the playoffs take. I still think the NFC West is easily the best division in football, though.
We'll see. Who do the Rams have this week?
We'll see.
2.5.
I have not been impressed with that.
Over under 2.5 playoff teams from the NFC West.
Oh,
I'm
I'll
taking the
take
over.
under.
I'll take the
He's
under.
taking the
Yep.
over. Let's do it.
Yeah, Rams.
Henry,
Bears.
you better take the under.
Rams Bears this week. That's going to
Oh,
be a great
God.
game.
Ugh, yeah.
NFC North. I mean, not fun to watch.
Bears,
Like the
man.
Bears aren't fun to watch.
No,
and that's a
they are not.
good football
Horrible to
team.
watch. Dude. I hate
Final,
watching the Bears.
final. Yeah, the Bears.
They're-
The Bears have been really messing with me up and down all year.
But mostly up. 5-1.
Bills
That's the
Chiefs
thing.
game, right?
Yeah,
Another
those
team
Chiefs.
that's been messing with a lot of people, the Cowboys.
That's
we're
a
just
bad
glossing
team.
over that last game. I'm still not getting to my takes here.
What, Chiefs Bills? Oh no, I did want to ask, is it time to sell on the Bills? Like Josh Allen, you know? We had a like,
He was
would you
doing so
rather
well.
Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen 2 weeks ago or
Yeah.
something?
And I said Josh Allen isn't going to be able to sustain this. And he
Was I on
hasn't.
board with that?
Like
And
I
you
don't
said
know.
you. We need to
Don't
go back and
worry
listen to
about
it.
what was said.
Exactly.
What are
What
we
is going
saying
on?
But
now,
I have to
guy?
be right. I have to be
No.
right all the time. It's a disease
No,
I have.
You'll do enough of these where you'll forget what you've said and you don't even care.
I do
You'd
want to say
rather
Devin
forget.
Singletary. I was very disappointed in that game from him.
Dude.
I was riding him so high, and then like they did not show up. I
That's
will
what
say it's the Chiefs, and the Chiefs you cannot run on the Chiefs, not
Well,
because they have
that's
a good
true.
run
That's true.
defense, but because they just air it out so much that they don't give you the opportunity. They don't give you the game script to run it. So
Yeah, no, they go up
I don't wanna
so
go, like,
big.
too far
you-
into
yeah.
it. But Devin Singletary, I was expecting more than that.
Yeah.
I mean, outside of Diggs and Allen, there aren't viable like lock them in every week fantasy starters on this team.
Exactly. Exactly. But because of the way that the running backs are working, if you have Singletary and you know that he is going to be the lead guy, I guess with Zach Moss back, it was like 2-1 this week.
It
How do
really
you not
is
start him,
true,
even though
those
he just,
guaranteed touches?
I know.
he's just not a good
Soon
running
enough,
back is the problem.
Swift is going to be the guaranteed touch guy in Detroit too. I can't
Wow.
wait. All right,
The
are
Heat
you
Jets
selling
universe.
Josh Allen? Are you selling Kyler Murray?
What?
9 of 24, my man, 188 yards
Yeah.
against
care.
the trashiest defense in the entire
It's
NFL.
74 yards rushing and a touchdown.
No, I understand.
I'm
but
not
We
selling.
all
Are you
understand.
asking me, of all people, if I'm selling Kyler Murray? What'd you
Yeah.
expect as the answer?
because
No.
it hasn't
That's
been
my
an
boy.
exhilarating season.
He didn't
Yeah.
need to do anything in that game.
He didn't look great though.
He didn't need to do anything, man. That's
No, I get it,
think-
but he didn't look great. And maybe when
No, I
he
think he
won't
was
play
fine, man.
against a defense that gives up 40 points to everyone, including the Giants,
I think he
we
was
might have a problem.
And it's going to be a big test for the
it's
Cardinals
fine.
against the Seahawks this week.
All
I
right.
think this is where you learn a lot.
Oh, I'm really excited for this
He
game.
might
This is
be
my
right.
game of the week, dude.
Yeah.
Christian Kirk, great game. One
Yeah,
of my
that's-
sleepers coming into the
No,
season.
It's an outlier.
He's
He had
picking it up. He's
two
picking it up.
receptions for 2 touchdowns and
He's
86 yards. That's an
Picking
absolute
it
outlier.
up. When
No.
you score a
my
touchdown, 100% of
You're supposed to be the
your
statistician.
touches,
There's
100%. That's an outlier. Kenyan Drake, he's resuscitated.
I'm
That's
taking
not a
crazy pills.
stat. That is a fact.
Allie, can you hit me with that
Oh,
sound
you're
clip, please?
in on
we need
Kenyan
to talk
Drake?
about Kenyan Drake,
No, he's
dude.
resuscitated.
Yeah, he's back.
It's a I mean, back.
No, he's
I
back.
don't
Don't
know.
at me, dude.
Again, like, how bad is this defense?
Exactly,
How bad
exactly.
Devontae Freeman was viable. Okay, we've got a clip.
Yeah, you
Oh, there's a
gotta
clip.
play it.
Played it and you guys are
Oh, we're yelling.
play it again.
I don't even like Drake.
You don't like the Drake?
I hate the Drake.
I love the Drake.
How could you not like the Drake?
Who's the Drake?
Who's the Drake?
The Drake is good.
Yeah, it's like 11 seconds. Got to love
Yeah.
the Drake, and I'm glad
Yeah.
he's back.
Okay.
And in
Fly
your
by
face.
sickness. Wait, should I not drop Drake? Question mark.
No.
Here's the thing, though.
Oh, don't. Here's the thing.
No.
me.
Well, we
This
gotta
is-
talk
have this.
We
Can
gotta
I just
talk
be
this
happy?
out.
This is
Hank will not let me be happy. To all the listeners out there, you don't see the behind the scenes. Hank is so opposed to me ever being happy. Just
Actually,
know
this
that.
isn't about
I
you.
don't know.
This is about the good people who need
The
good
good
advice.
people.
Here's the thing about Kenyan Drake, though. He scored on that 69-yard touchdown run, which you can't take
Heyo.
away from him because he did it. But that was also like when they should have been kneeling out the clock. It just happened to be that there were too many seconds left that they couldn't kneel on
Can we
third
just talk
down.
about how-
the box was loaded from the Cowboys and he snuck through and on that fluky play,
Bro, he had-
69-yard touchdown.
He had like 52 fantasy points. So without that
Oh,
fluky
no,
play,
no, but
that's
listen,
like
but listen,
40
listen.
points.
But yeah,
No,
but,
that's a 12-point play.
Right.
That-
but
that's
without that,
massive.
he still had 40 points is my point.
But-
without that
I mean,
quote-unquote
you're
fluky play.
exaggerating.
But
He
seriously,
still had a very good game otherwise.
Before that,
Yes,
he
yes.
had 19 carries for 95 yards. That's
He would
5
have
yards a carry.
16
That's a
points.
good day. But that's also against potentially
Myles
the
Gaskin.
worst run defense in football. And it's not like he totally like destroyed that defense. It was like he had a good day for running back. It
Now
wasn't
you-
as good as Phil's day. And this is Kenyan Drake. Like
It wasn't as good as Phil.
that's the thing. Is
Now,
if you can
should-
sell him now,
you gotta sell him.
seriously.
If you can't, this
Yes.
is last chance saloon to sell high, right?
No. I'm not selling you. I refuse. I won't.
Okay.
I'm dug in.
We
And
know.
I will
all
never
for it, man.
change.
I'm all for it.
I'm Mac
all
of this
for
group.
it.
I am the
I
Mac.
don't know.
I'm all for it. I love that. We need to do rapid fire questions. Spacebar. Start Fulgham versus the Giants or Lockett versus
Fulgham.
Arizona.
Fulgham.
Block it.
What? Fulgham. Do you want to make us a bet?
Yeah, let's do it.
Boom.
Yeah. I mean, Lockett's just been too good to bench,
What are you talking about?
right?
He disappeared the week before. They just had a bye, right? And he disappeared
Yeah.
the week
I
before
mean,
that.
Disappeared seems excessive.
He
Yeah.
dropped
Oh, yeah,
3
bye.
passes that were like all catchable, and DK Metcalf has not missed a beat.
But I mean, it's.
DK Metcalf, in my eyes, is the wide receiver one. There
Okay,
in
I'm going full.
Seattle.
I just don't think
Thank
it.
you.
Bangkok Gronko. The
Yeah.
only 3 healthy running backs I have are Philip Lindsay, Devin Singletary, and Darrell Henderson. How much trouble am I in? And
A
would you
lot.
pick up Boston Scott or J.D. McKissick? I'd
You
add
have to do
Jermichael
something.
Hasty to that.
You have to do
Have
something.
to do something.
If you could pick up all 3 of those and just jettison any tight ends and quarterbacks you have that are extra on your bench, you need to be filling the entire depth of your bench with running backs
In
to
order,
try
though-
and hit any lottery pick.
In order, though, I think my priorities this week would be McKissick, Hasty, Scott.
No. I would go.
Give them in order.
I would go Scott, Hasty, McKissick.
Okay.
I'm really confused by McKissick, just because of the way I think he had like weirdly explosive plays when he got the ball. Is that right?
Yeah.
I can't remember the stat line.
But do you want any
I
part
think
of like
I'd
Washington in
lean-
general?
I think I'd lean Boston Scott
Thank you.
and then McKissick and then Hasty.
Okay, beautiful.
So
TK
we
Freeze
just washed
asks,
that
would
whole
you
thing.
guys trade Chase Claypool for Nick Chubb?
What?
In all formats, I think it's a yes.
When's Nick Chubb going to be back?
That's
No,
the
no,
question.
for this season, it's a non-question. Yes, you trade him for. In keepers or dynasties, let's assume that's what the question is built around. I still think it's yes. And this is kind of my argument between comparable tiers of wide receivers and running backs. In redrafts, running backs are so much more valuable, you prioritize them. In dynasties and keepers, wide receivers have such a longer window of being highly productive that you gotta value them much higher.
Oh, man.
So I say yes, you trade Claypool in all formats. You disagree?
This is a real Sophie's choice for me because, as any listeners of this pod know,
Yeah, I'm
so
really
like
surprised.
anti Nick Chubb.
I know, I'm shocked.
And I'm very
that you're
pro
even-
Chase Claypool, but at the same time, I have been very vocal about how much I value running backs over wide receivers.
In terms of when he'll be back, Nick Chubb, they said initially that he will be back this season, but it will take several weeks. Since then, we've gotten updates that have said that he's progressing much quicker than normal, and typically you miss 3 to 5 weeks with an MCL sprain, and so he should be back maybe by the end.
Well,
or
3 to 5
middle of
weeks.
next
He got
month.
injured 2 weeks ago, right?
Yeah, so I think if you can get
Within the
Nick
next
Chubb
couple
for
weeks.
Claypool, then you got to do it.
I would say yes.
And finally, we've kind of touched on this already, but just to reiterate, Count Locule asks, is Juju even startable at this
No.
point? Unfortunately, he is not.
No.
Guys like Claypool, Jefferson, our top waiver claims Fulgham of the last several weeks have already outplayed him.
Yep.
Any closing notes before we say goodbye to the good people? And we remind them to listen in on our Thursday show where we'll be doing more questions, more lineup stuff, more would you rather. As we kind of have some fun segments. We'll have Justin Michael on, who was great 2 Thursdays ago when you were gone. Henry won't be here,
I
so
should've saved
Henry,
this jersey
any
for
final
Thursday.
notes you have?
I'll save him for the tailgate.
You can rewear it. Okay, he'll save it for the tailgate. Tune into that Sundays only. Thank you guys, as always, for tuning into the Fantasy Pod. We really appreciate it. And I remind you, you'll find us in the Broncos pod feed. Subscribe to the Fantasy Pod feed specifically because we won't be in there forever. So get on that while you can. Quick question from Producer Ali. Subscribe and like us on YouTube. Producer Guy. You created on the DNVR YouTube channel a playlist for DNVR Fantasy.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
So you can run over all of those. You can edit those together and absolutely roast us on our bad takes. You can make a highlight reel of all of Guy's great takes that he's had through the year.
Only winners over
I
here.
think he'd like that.
Yeah,
You could
nothing but
even
winners.
go back and maybe remind us of some bets that might have been lost
Oh my God,
along
we have
the wayside.
so many that we're just not keeping track of. I already know.
That's right. You're sipping on your coffee. We will be back Thursday. Thank you as always, DNVR Fantasy.